Johnny Depp laughs at the idea that he needs to make a comeback in Hollywood, but he has been in projects here and there. He was in Jean du Barry. He's in a new movie coming out next year, and he has to do promo for it somehow. He sat down for a 4-hour-long rambling interview with the Sunday Times, and a lot of that addressed his Hollywood boycott, a time when a lot of his longtime friends and colleagues jumped ship and betrayed him when it was convenient for them. And that was especially at its height in 2022 during the defamation trial with his ex-wife Amber Heard. This was the title, Johnny Depp, I was a crash test dummy for MeToo. The actor opens up about the Amber Heard trial, his painful childhood, 40 years of fame, and the friends who turned their backs on him. And there were several quotes that were getting circulated where he addressed the Me Too movement and how he was kind of the lab rat, the guinea pig for how that would work. And now we're looking back on the Me Too movement after its death. I kind of wish they asked him for his opinion about the Justin Baldoni lawsuit.
Yeah, a good interviewer would have been like,
Yeah.
what does this most closely resemble in current year?
As a 62-year-old shut-in, he probably doesn't keep up with the news about that. He's talking about how
He's like, what the hell's Baha'i?
He holds himself up in his apartment in London. He watches weird YouTube videos.
Is that what you think he does?
No, he literally admitted that he does that.
That's what
he doesn't like going out with his friends anymore because he hates attracting attention. He still does make a wish, but
I would like to
only
know
under very
what...
controlled circumstances does he make any outing.
I wish he would have given more details about what those weird YouTube videos
I want to
are.
know.
Like, that's
Yeah.
the most interesting thing we could be learning about here.
He's probably watching our show.
I would love to know what he considers weird and what he likes to go and watch.
So they asked him if he regrets the defamation trial with Amber Heard simply because it aired so much of his personal dirty laundry. No pun intended, with shit in the bed. And he said, it had gone far enough. I knew I'd have to semi-eviscerate myself. Everyone was saying it'll go away, but I can't trust that. What will go away? The fiction pawned around the effing globe? No, it won't. If I don't try to represent the truth, it will be like I've actually committed the acts I'm accused of. And my kids will have to live with it, their kids that I've met in hospitals. So the night before the trial in Virginia, I didn't feel nervous. If you don't have to memorize lines, if you're just speaking the truth, roll the dice. None of this is going to be easy, but I didn't care. I thought I'll fight until the bitter effing end. And if I end up pumping gas, that's all right. I've done that before.
That's a very enlightened perspective on the other side of pumping gas.
Uh-huh. And it did actually pay off for him, not
Yeah.
just in the actual money. He was awarded $15 million
Gave it all
in
to charity.
damages. And he actually needed that trial to revive his career. I don't think that he would have had as many opportunities if he didn't go through with it. Although he did lose his libel trial with The Sun in the UK just a couple years prior. They also mention an art installation that Johnny Depp revealed last year.
A lot of actors also fancy themselves. I mean, he's
Yes.
also a musician. Like, I think
He's into music. He's into
so many of
painting.
them are, though. That's not anything new. Like, I remember like hearing about Hugh Laurie being in a band and hearing, you know, all these actors that love to perform music as well.
Right. So he's finding his joy in, you know, what is that band that he started with Alice Cooper?
I forget.
He's doing music. He's just kind of doing passion projects. But last year he unveiled a painting that he titled Death by Confetti, which is a big metaphor about the industry. It pictures a pensive-looking skeleton in front of bright-colored dots. His voiceover at the art installation talks about how the Hollywood industry builds you up before letting you choke on the celebration, which is the confetti. And in the end, he says, you die. You actually die. And this brought the interview to people that threw him under the bus, people he worked with that ended up speaking out against him, either taking the side of Amber Heard and her accusations or just piling on with their own complaints. For instance, he's talking about his former agent, Tracy Jacobs, While talking about Amber Heard, Johnny Depp is imprecise. When it comes to the film industry, he is evidently furious about how the Hollywood power players who jumped off what they considered a sinking ship. His ire for them is passionate. She signed Johnny Depp in 1988, Tracy Jacobs, and made them both millions. And he sacked her in 2016, citing financial concerns, whatever that means. But during the Amber Heard trial, his former agent claimed that some Hollywood studios became reluctant to use Johnny Depp because of his reputation of being tardy to film
Late
sets.
to set? Yeah.
He disagrees, says that's totally untrue. As weird as I am, certain things can be trusted, and my loyalty is the last thing anybody could question. I was with one agent for 30 years, but she spoke in court about how difficult I was. That is death by confetti. These fake MFers who lie to you, celebrate you, say all sorts of horror behind your back, yet keep the money, that confetti machine going, because what do they want? Dough. I'll tell you what hurts. There are people, and I'm thinking of 3, who did me dirty. He doesn't name them. Those people were at my kids' parties, throwing them in the air. I understand people who could not stand up for me, because the most frightening thing to them was making the right choice. I was pre-MeToo. I was like a crash test dummy for MeToo. It was before Harvey Weinstein. And I think he might be referring to his divorce in 2016, because the trial didn't take place until much later. During the divorce proceedings, that was when Amber Heard first accused him of both emotional and physical abuse. But then in a joint statement from the couple shortly after, they clarified and said that they were not in any sort of physical altercations together.
This was a headline from 2017. Johnny Depp's latest role is the friend that's always late for brunch. There's whole articles and websites dedicated to him being late all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest thing to believe.
I'll put that on the manager. If you want him there at noon, say he's got to be there at 8.
Yeah, plan better. Plan around him.
Skill issue.
He's the star.
Skills issue.
He's the star. He gets to call the shots. But, this was in 2016, before Harvey Weinstein got accused by countless women and had his downfall. It was almost like Johnny Depp went down before Harvey Weinstein. And he said, I sponged it. I took it all in. And so I wanted, from the hundreds of people I've met in the industry, to see who was playing it safe. And then he pauses and says, better go woke. Actual quote from the interview. But, he's 62. He doesn't know that term is played out by now. He's kind of left behind. But yeah, I think it's interesting to hear Johnny Depp's perspective on the Me Too movement as a whole, after we're kind of all in agreement. There's a consensus now that the Me Too movement is dead. And that's not to say that accusations don't come out all the time. There was just this recent one with Tyler Perry.
Yep.
These allegations are coming out constantly. It's still a journalism cottage industry.
So I saw the Tyler Perry one. I saw the Fat Joe one. The Tyler Perry lawsuit's like $260 million. That's a big deal considering he has a whole ass studio in Georgia and is worth a crap ton of money. And the world would probably be a worse place without Madea movies. So.
And there's the Diddy trial, which is ongoing. Yeah. There's the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively lawsuit, which is going to trial next year. So this is not the end of Me Too by far, but it has fallen out of the court of public opinion.
So also recently, Pirates of the Caribbean 6 cast update as Jerry Bruckheimer basically kind of vague books and says, like, we're going to bring back some of the cast, but doesn't say which members of the cast that is.
So do you think that Jerry Bruckheimer is one of those 3 people that he's referring to?
I mean, like, I guess their relationship goes back quite a few years, so maybe, but I would hope that he would patch things up. I think Jerry Bruckheimer is one of the better Hollywood producers as far as like stuff that I actually like to watch. So I think it can only be a net positive if they're working together. But yeah, basically Jerry Bruckheimer says we're working on a screenplay. Hopefully we'll get it right and then we'll make it. We really want to make it, and that's for sure. And then just talks about like with not all new actors, we'll have some back. But it's, if you're going to call it Pirates of the Caribbean, it better have Johnny Depp in it. Otherwise it's not Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, it's Pirates of the Caribbean starring Io Margot Edebiri.
Or Margot Robbie.
Or Margot Robbie. Or there were countless other rumors that haven't
Piratess.
come true yet. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But,
and Amber Heard is still working.
yes, she just announced a new project.
A play.
She's in a play called Spirit of the People.
It's being presented as part of the 2025 Williamstown Theater Festival. Wait, does that mean is that in America? So she's going to have to come back. Where'd she move to? Italy?
Spain, I think.
Is that where she moved?
Yeah, she's living in Spain with her Elon Musk test tube babies, allegedly. But they say that Spirit of the People confronts uncomfortable truths about land and what it means to destroy it.
So is this going to be like a climate change thing? Is this going to be...
I think it's about colonization.
Is it going to be a colonization
That's what
thing?
it sounds like.
There's so many interesting stories I could never care about.
Yeah, I mean, there were positive reviews for that, I forget what it was called, but it was that Martin Scorsese movie last year starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes, that one, that did well because of the star power behind it, but nobody is genuinely interested in a, it's an activist movie. That's what it is.
I could fill a theater with how little I care about this.
And Amber Heard doesn't need to work because she's an Elon Musk sugar baby. Allegedly.
Don't
allegedly.
Yeah. So look, it is interesting to think about what somebody who's been through what he's been through years on. I actually think that it's just as interesting to think about what Amber Heard is thinking if she was being honest with her thoughts rather than whatever prepackaged crap she has to deliver. But I'd like to hear what she thinks about it. Like, some type of like diary of a psychopath. Allegedly
a Gone Girl moment.
Yeah, like the funniest version of it is Amber Heard like admitting she made it all up and being like, I was acting a little crazy that day. I'm sorry. I was acting a little crazy that year.
Even if she said that, they wouldn't go to retrial. They wouldn't mistrial. Like it would still be the same outcome. So it doesn't even matter. But it is funny how one part of this interview they ask Johnny Depp how he felt about watching his ex-wife, whom he once loved, getting dragged by millions of people, not only on social media, but also people who showed up to the courthouse and screamed obscenities at her. How did he feel about that? Was there sort of a conflict within him watching that happen? And then he kind of dodged that question, not even in a calculated way. He's just so artistic that he can't help but, wax poetic about my upbringing and watching the stilettos flinging in my household as a 9-year-old and my mom Betty Sue and this was his way of like bloviating about his childhood trauma.
They should make
and he's like, what does love really mean?
They should make skits like normal person tries to talk to Hollywood to self-important actor.
Asking Johnny Depp if he were really in love with Amber Heard is the same thing as asking Jordan Peterson if he believes in God, because he's gonna go, well, what does fall and what does in and what does love and what does with mean? We need to really start from scratch and deconstruct all of it to really understand.
See, that's what makes Jordan
is.
Peterson so good at his job, but would be more interesting is like a vlog channel where he just talks like a normal person.
Maybe Jordan Peterson videos are some of the weird YouTube videos Johnny Depp is watching. We don't know.
I could see that.
I bet he's Jordan Peterson stan.
Jordan Peterson used to do all sorts of lectures dissecting Disney movies and classic stories. Has he ever did he dissect Sleepy Hollow? Specifically the Johnny Depp one.
I bet Johnny Depp watches Jonathan Pajot videos about Snow White.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.